I am 70 years old, and today I avoid people. Let me tell you why. Hello, friends. Reaching 70 is a milestone I never imagined I would reach so quickly. When we are young, in our 20s, we are full of dreams, energy, and ambitions. Life moves forward, and with each sunrise, we find ourselves in a different body, carrying memories that span decades. As we age, our priorities change, and in my case, I discovered something unexpected. I began to avoid people. This was not always the case. For years, I was very social, surrounded by friends and family, attending events, volunteering in the community, and being that person everyone could trust. But over time, something changed. At first, I thought it was just me. Today, I think maybe it's more common than I thought. Let me explain why. If you like this video, like it. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. First, time seems more precious than ever. At 70 years old, I think about time like never before. It's not just the ticking of the clock or the changing of the calendar. This is evidence that time is limited. When I was younger, time seemed abundant, like a boundless river rushing toward an unknown horizon. I wasted it thoughtlessly, believing there would always be more. Hours spent in idle discussions, relationships that faded, and projects that brought little joy or importance seemed insignificant at the time. But today, every moment seems like a gift to me, and I don't want to waste it. Time is no longer just a measurement. It is a companion, sometimes kind, sometimes difficult, constantly reminding me to appreciate what I have left. On quiet mornings, I take a sip of coffee and watch the sun rise, enjoying the warmth of the cup in my hands. In the afternoon, I take long walks, listen to the crunching of leaves under my feet, and rejoice in the strength I still have in my legs. And in the evening, I relax in my favorite armchair, thinking about the good life I have lived. I used to spend my time on people and activities, believing that the more I did, the fuller my life seemed. But I've discovered that the opposite is true. What matters is not the quantity of activities or the number of people you hang out with, but the quality of the experiences and relationships we live. Today, I make careful choices about where and with whom I spend my time. I'd rather have a quiet chat with someone who really understands me than attend a big party where I feel lost in a sea of people. Actually, the reason I'm so protective of my time is because I've learned how valuable it is. When we are young, we believe there will always be tomorrow to right a wrong, renew a friendship, or pursue a passion. But as we get older, we realize that there are fewer tomorrows than we would like. This doesn't sadden me, but it pushes me to be intentional. I don't waste time on unnecessary drama, superficial discussions, or tasks that don't reflect my ideals. Instead, I devote my time to what is truly important: my health, my passions, and the people who bring joy to my life. This transformation brings me an immense sense of tranquility. I no longer feel uncomfortable saying no to things that do not benefit me. I no longer feel compelled to justify my preference for solitude over meetings. I'm not saying I don't value relationships. In fact, I value them more than ever. But my focus has shifted. I want my friendships to be authentic, my discussions to be meaningful, and my days to be more full than busy. At this stage of life, time also means letting go of regrets for lost time, letting go of grudges that were once vital, and letting go of the need to do it all. I learned that it's okay to slow down and just be. There is no more urgency, no more racing to the finish line. The best moments are not found in big accomplishments, but in small, modest joys. A favorite song, a pleasant wind, or a hearty laugh. So yes, time seems more precious than ever, but it is also richer. I stopped chasing it and began to savor it. In doing so, I discovered a level of satisfaction I never thought possible. In my 70s, I don't want to waste a single moment, not because I'm afraid of running out of time, but because I realized what a precious gift life is. 2. Relationships change, and so do we. Relationships evolve in unexpected ways over time. Some grow stronger through shared memories and mutual understanding, while others slowly fade, like a book you put down and never pick up. In my 70s, I have accepted the fact that not all relationships are meant to last forever, and that's a very good thing. What I've discovered is that the people who stay in your life at this stage are usually the ones who really matter. When I was younger, the only thing that mattered was relationships. I surrounded myself with friends, peers, neighbors, and acquaintances, always striving to stay connected and be part of something bigger. I was the one who remembered everyone's birthdays, who showed up at every gathering and tried to make everyone happy. But over time, I understood the effort involved in maintaining relationships who didn't always feed me in return. Life has a natural way of pruning the branches of your social tree. People move on, become busier, or change in ways that make it difficult to stay in touch. Some relationships end painfully, others eventually. I used to take these losses personally, wondering what I could have done better in holding on. Today, I understand that life's path takes us all in different directions. People come into our lives for a cause, a season, or a lifetime, and knowing what that is gave me a sense of serenity. But it's not just people who change, we change too. I am no longer the same person I was at 40, let alone 60. My priorities have evolved. I appreciate simplicity, kindness, and authenticity more than ever. I have no patience for drama or one-sided relationships. I used to believe that being there for others made me a good friend or family member. But I discovered that meaningful relationships are reciprocal, meaning they fill you up rather than drain you. Some of the most important lessons I've learned about relationships come from falling out of love, trust broken by people who were dear to me, unrequited loyalty, or generosity taken for granted. All of these experiences left scars, but they also taught me to set boundaries, spot the warning signs, and above all, respect my own well-being. Today, I devote my time and energy to the people who lift me up, not the ones who bring me down. Despite these lessons, I sometimes miss bonds that have weakened. A friend who was once like a brother or sister, but with whom I haven't spoken in years. A family member whose life has taken a different direction. It is bittersweet to reflect on these links, but I learned to appreciate them for what they were. Beautiful moments in time that made me the person I am today. Trust becomes more complicated. As we get older, we realize how fragile trust can be. In my youth, I trusted easily, believing in the goodwill of others and their intentions. But as life progressed, I experienced betrayals that made me more cautious. Once lost, trust is difficult to reestablish, and at 70, I am much more discerning about whom I allow into my inner circle. I'm not resentful or angry, but experience has taught me to be careful. Over the years, I have been let down by people I didn't expect to hurt me. A friend who was more interested in what I could do for him than who I was. A business partner who prioritized his profits over our shared vision. And even family members who, for reasons I will never fully understand, drifted apart, which made me wonder what was going on. These experiences forced me to choose between withdrawing completely and approaching new relationships with a mix of openness and caution. I chose the latter option, but caution comes at a cost. When someone new enters my life, my first instinct is distrust, not joy or curiosity. I wonder, what does he want? What is his motivation? It's not an attitude I prefer, but it was imposed out of necessity. However, I have found that trust is not just about people, but also about trusting yourself. Trust your intuition when something goes wrong. Trust your abilities to let go of harmful people, no matter how long they have been in our lives. And believe that it's okay to protect your heart, even if that means keeping your distance. However, trust is a complex concept. In the past few years, I've met people who have renewed my faith in humanity, however slightly. A friendly stranger who helped me when I dropped something at the grocery store. A neighbor who gets news when the weather is bad. These examples remind me that while it is difficult to bestow trust today, it is not impossible. At this point in my life, I accept that trust is always a precarious balance. It is not about erecting barriers so high that no one can cross them. It's about building barriers strong enough to block harm while remaining open enough to let in love, kindness, and connection when the time is right. Finally, the complexity of relationships and trust has diminished. I cherish the few people I trust completely and maintain strict boundaries with those who haven't earned it. And while I may never again be as trusting as I once was, I have learned to appreciate even more the relationships I do have. At 70, this is a precious gift. The world looks different today. At 70, the world looks very different from the one I grew up in. Not only has the pace of life changed, but also the way we communicate with each other. Sometimes I look around me and wonder where the warmth and simplicity of human relationships have disappeared. I grew up in a time when neighbors were considered extended family. We didn't know each other's names. We would drop by unexpectedly for coffee, and we would help out without anyone having to ask. Families got together regularly, motivated by true love and joy rather than obligation. These relationships were easy to maintain, with a sense of belonging that did not require regular effort. Today, however, it seems that everyone is preoccupied with achieving something, whether it is success, recognition, or simply keeping up with the pressures of contemporary life. People no longer visit each other as often as they used to. Conversations have become hurried, as if everyone is racing against an invisible clock. Even within families, relationships can seem superficial, stretched by distance. Technology, for all its benefits, has contributed to this transition, both physically and emotionally. Don't get me wrong, I love being able to make video calls with my grandchildren and keep in touch with old friends through social media. However, I can't help but think that these screens have erected barriers between us. There is nothing like sitting across from someone, listening to the subtleties of their voice, and feeling the warmth of their presence. The constant stream of notifications, updates, and endless scrolling can be daunting. It's as if the world has become louder and lonelier. There are times when I just want to disconnect from everything, turn off my phone, and be alone with my thoughts. Loneliness is not solitude. In my youth, I associated being alone with loneliness. The idea of spending the evening alone seemed distasteful to me, as if solitude was something to be avoided at all costs. But I came to understand that solitude is not something to fear, but something to cherish. There is an important difference between loneliness and being alone. Loneliness is an emptiness, a longing for connection that seems out of reach. Solitude, on the other hand, is a fullness, a quiet happiness in one's own company. In my 70s, I discovered that simply being still, letting the world take a back seat while I focus on the here and now, brings me the greatest joy. In solitude, I found joy in simple pleasures. Sitting by the window with a cup of tea, watching the birds flit over the feeder, feeling the warmth of the sun on my face during a morning walk, or listening to the crackle of a fire on a cool evening. These brief moments give me a sense of calm that no lively event will ever be able to lure me into. Solitude also allowed me to think. At this stage of life, memories are both a source of comfort and a source of education. I find myself revisiting old moments, not with regret, but with gratitude for the events that shaped me. In the calmness of my thoughts, I was able to accept things I once had trouble understanding. This does not mean that I have completely cut myself off from the outside world. I always enjoy seeing my grandchildren's cheeks light up when they visit, staying in touch with old friends, and participating in causes that are close to my heart. However, these connections seem more meaningful to me now that they are voluntary and not mandatory. I no longer feel the need to accept every offer, nor to stay in relationships that drain me. Solitude has also allowed me to appreciate the relationships that remain. When I spend time with others, I am fully present and enjoy the moments we share. There is no rushing, no distractions, just the pleasure of being together, however briefly. I believe that solitude teaches you to love yourself in a way that no external validation can ever provide. It shows that your value is not tied to the number of people around you, nor to your social agenda. It is in quiet moments when we realize that we are enough, just as we are.